You're tuned in to Super Talk 1270 and Free for All Friday. Compelling local talk at 11 o'clock. Free for All Friday features groups and organizations that are plugged into progress here in Central North Dakota. Our rotating panel includes members of the Bismarck Downtowners, the Bismarck-Mandan Homebuilders Association, Pride of Dakota, and United Tribes Technical College. You're invited to call in and join the discussion. It's Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270.
Good morning and thanks for tuning in. This is Dot Frank with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association on a Free-for-All Friday. Excited to be back in the studio yet again to share information regarding the home building industry. We've got a lot going on, fueled in particular by this beautiful weather we've experienced. The rain, I think, is appreciated today. A reprieve from the heat, particularly for those work crews who are outside constructing the homes that you reside in. We're excited to have a special guest in studio with us today, one of our members who is actively engaged in the community as well as our local association, and that is Mr. Nate Halverson of Regal Home Solutions. So welcome, Nate.
Thanks, Dot.
Excellent. Well, Nate has been working throughout the communities. Hopefully you've seen his signs up in front of projects as you're canvassing through the two communities. But let's have him provide some information about his business, perhaps when you started, what you specialize in, and where you're currently working on homes throughout the Bismarck-Mandan area.
Well, this is our third full season of construction. We started up in 2012, really small local business, and have grown, struggling along right with some of the other local businesses to find staff and employees to get us through our projects. But yeah, we're doing full-scale remodels. We started out with our expertise. My background was in siding and windows, along with my partner Jason. And from there, we just kept learning new things and have kept growing and expanding our repertoire, so to speak. But yeah, right now we are doing a large addition project over in Mandan, right behind Dakota Farms. We took a very small existing home and added a 616-foot garage with an apartment above it. So we're in the waning stages of getting that completed. Quite the dramatic transformation, might add.
Absolutely. And, if you're driving throughout the community, I encourage you to swing by. It is pretty spectacular to see, what transformation can take place on existing homes. And one thing I think is really interesting, while, we support the home building community and we, particularly appreciate those who make an investment in their community and their lifestyle by purchasing new construction, we also work closely with a lot of remodelers. And you might be in a position where a new home isn't something that fits into your budget or your schedule or your wishes or your wants. Maybe you really appreciate the neighborhoods and the neighbors that reside next to you. Remodeling can be fairly dramatic if you so choose. It doesn't have to be just repainting, residing. This was a complete overhaul. So was it everything you expected to get into the project? And how's it coming along? It's coming along.
It's actually going kind of slow right now, but with remodeling, particularly like what we're doing over there, there's a lot of stuff that you kind of have to figure out on the fly. There's situations that arise where you can't really plan for, even with the best laid plans. And, it's just about overcoming them and doing it correctly to make sure that you get a quality finish in the end. I think we're getting more and more interest in projects like this, particularly with rising home prices around the area.
One thing that I appreciate about this project in particular, and again, I encourage you to drive by and check it out, there's always an opportunity to do additions. And there's a lot of people that will make that investment throughout the communities. Perhaps I would guess the most common would be adding a sunroom or a three-season patio. However, with this remodel project, what I particularly appreciate, and I'm sure the community and neighbors especially appreciate, is that you took the entire home's aesthetics in mind. So you didn't just add the garage and build up the apartment over the top. You replaced the roof and changed some lines of the housing structure, so it really looks like this house was constructed as it's sitting right now prior to the renovations.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have awesome homeowners to work with on that project. So they were actually the ones that brought the plans for the addition originally, and then they took our advice and sticking money into the existing home to make it match and to redo the exterior veneer to make sure it didn't look like an afterthought, make sure everything was consistent, look good, and attractive finished products. So
excellent. So, you mentioned that they're adding an apartment onto the second story. One thing that we're starting to notice nationally as a trend is the topic of aging in place, as well as mixed households where you incorporate maybe relatives, grandmas, grandpas, or parents that will occupy space in your home. Is that something that you're seeing more interest in? And with this case in particular, what prompted the addition of an apartment?
These guys are getting a little bit up there in age, and so their intention is to actually occupy the apartment space and lease out the old house, and sell the house that they're living in now. They're downsizing. They just want something a little easier to maintain, I think. And then the nice part about it for them is that when they get sick of walking up and down the steps, they can just flip-flop spaces. They can go move into the patio home on the ground level and rent out the upstairs. So pretty smart plan if you ask me. Absolutely.
And one thing that's interesting is, how that really dovetails into the concepts that are being driven by Bismarck's mayor right now, and Mandan's planning and zoning in particular, and that is making greater use of compact building, trying to get more people into condensed spaces so that we don't expand our reach and thus increase infrastructure costs. So do you anticipate that, the mayor's sentiment and the community's response to rezoning or creating higher density will prompt more people to consider that type of living arrangement?
It's hard to say how, I can only speak for myself. I don't know how other people would respond. I personally don't mind the idea. Leaving a smaller footprint's never a bad thing. My interest, I guess, is with the downtown area. I think it'll make our downtown more vibrant. I've been reading articles lately about refurbishing apartments and a restaurant over Grandma's house. That's really exciting. Make downtown Bismarck a more lively place, attract people to our community. And, grew up here, love the city, and like to see it thrive.
Excellent. So right now you're working on the project in particular that's drawn a lot of attention, and that's on First Street in Mandan. From your experience to date, what's been the most exciting or most rewarding remodel project that you've completed?
We did a deck addition with a roof actually up in Northwest Bismarck, and the feedback that I got from one of the homeowners on that project was one of the nicest compliments we got. And so, we don't get a lot of negative feedback, but there are things that come up, and, it always seems like you hear about the bad stuff. So when somebody takes the time to give you positive feedback, I really enjoy that. His comment to me was that it turned out way nicer than they ever imagined when they started planning it, and it looks like it should be on a $1 million house, not his house. So really took that to heart, and really proud of that particular project. So we actually have pictures of it up on our Facebook page. So
yeah, and so how do they find you on Facebook?
I think it's Facebook.com/Regal Home Solutions.
Excellent.
Or if you Google Regal Homes.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and while we do, take the time to Google that. Not while you're driving, of course, but if you're sitting in the comforts of home or your office, check it out. We'll be back in just a few minutes. This is Dot Frank with the Bismarck Mandan Homebuilders Association on a Free-for-All Friday.
Right now, 63.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 2, only on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. You're listening to a Free-for-All Friday with the Bismarck Mandan Home Builders Association. This is Dot Frank. Thanks for sticking with us over the break. And if you're just tuning in, welcome to today's program. We're excited to have a special in-studio guest, and it's Nate Halverson with Regal Home Solutions. Before the break, Nate and I were talking about his company, Regal Home Solutions, and some of the work that they've completed, a newer company in the community, which is really exciting to see those startups take place, and especially exciting to see them be as successful as Regal Home Solutions is. He just got done sharing his his favorite building and reconstruction project to date, particularly prompted by some feedback, very favorable feedback, that they received from the homeowner. And so that's good to hear. And now we're going to talk about a project similar to the one that he shared as his most successful, which was a patio reconstruction, a covered patio. We'll talk about backyards. Backyards are gaining popularity, and the timing is perfect to talk backyards. When you take a peek outside, you see the sun starting to come out and the temperatures rise. So what are you seeing in the form of projects and requests taking place in the Bismarck-Mandan area when it comes to backyards?
We've been planning and building a lot of outdoor living spaces. People want covered decks, covered patios. outdoor bars to extend the use, for weather like we're having today, so they can get out there. The one that we mentioned up in Northwest Bismarck, he actually had us install patio heaters so they could flip them on at night and get some use out of it really late into the season. So people like spending their time outdoors when the weather's nice, because we have very limited nice weather up in our area, as we all know.
Excellent. Well, I've grabbed some information. We have a lot of resources available to consumers and members alike on our website, which is bmhba.com. And on there, you'll find some links to our sister associations, both the State Association of Home Builders, as well as the National Association of Home Builders. So I was able to retrieve some information off of nahb.org, including some information from Design and Construction Week. The topic is ideas to make your backyard the envy of your neighbors. The envy of your neighbors. And so let's talk about, what their suggestions are. And it prompts people to first start with a plan. How important is it when you're sitting down with clients that you come up with a solid plan before you begin the reconstruction or the construction project?
It is absolutely vital. It will do a number of things for you. One, it makes sure that you as the homeowner and as the contractor get on the same page and there's no miscommunications about what's taking place. And then two, it helps establish a solid budget, so that way when there's no surprises when it comes down time to get that final bill, you know exactly what you're bargaining for, you know exactly what you're getting for the dollars spent. So
excellent. And that's kind of echoed in this column where they talk about, considering how much space you have, budget, how much you're going to allocate to each element. So how much money you're going to spend on, your shrubbery outside of the enclosed patio, and taking a look at the project as a whole. Now, next they talk about your deck and patio and how the deck or patio serves as the foundation for the space. And so you need to consider usages. So if you're a family that enjoys outdoor recreation activities, they suggested incorporating areas to do those such things, a horseshoe pit or whatnot. If you're a family who likes to sit and read, maybe perhaps a nook or a hammock in a corner where you can take advantage of those opportunities. When it comes to deck and patio space, is the sentiment similar to building a home and or garage, that you want to go as big as possible so you don't regret choosing to go too small from the start?
Not necessarily. I think it's really critical to get back to the planning is, I take a lot of time with our homeowners to measure out an existing room in their house and ask them what they want to do with the space. Because with the cost of maintenance-free decking and the cost of labor in our area, a deck project, adding square footage can get expensive in a hurry. So there is such a thing as overbuilding, and you can underbuild. So it's, you want to get it right the first time, bottom line.
Absolutely. And it's great to hear you say that you have them check out a room in their existing house. I have a hard time, and my husband will attest to this, when it comes to spatial issues, concerns, estimates, and depth perception, hence Dot taking 2 side mirrors off her vehicle in the last 5 years. So it's hard for me to imagine space unless I have something that I can compare it to. So I think that's a great suggestion to measure out one of your rooms. Do you want the size of your current living room or kitchen or kid's bedroom to get a sense for size?
Yep.
The next thing they talk about when it comes to, backyard spaces that your neighbors will envy is incorporating fire features. Is that something that you're seeing play out in the Bismarck-Mandan community?
Yeah, we've worked with landscaper Dakota Outdoorscapes on a number of projects where they've incorporated fire pits, and we've designed our deck around a layout that they've planned. With our deck up in Northwest Bismarck, one of my favorites, he incorporated a beautiful fire pit and stamped concrete patio to help extend the usable square footage of his outdoor space. So they are becoming very popular. I have one, love it, get a lot of use out of it. So
excellent. And after the program, we'll share your address so we can all come over and have s'mores this weekend. The other item, in addition to a fireplace to create a little bit of envy for your backyard, is incorporating an outdoor kitchen. Now, they're talking less about the Weber grill, more about a full kitchen. Yes? No? One thing that they give as a caveat is the conditions of weather in your community. So will full-scale appliances work in an outside environment in North Dakota? What are you seeing as far as taking it a step beyond just a freestanding Weber grill to step it up a notch, I guess, in backyard patios?
We actually have 2 projects that come to mind. One, we actually enclosed or put a roof over a patio, a concrete slab, and framed walls so they can incorporate a grill. They originally wanted to incorporate a sink into it along with the mini fridge for entertaining outside. And there's another one up in East Bismarck where they have actually a wood-fire pizza oven and then bar walls framed around it to have outdoor living space. But, I guess it's up to your individual taste. Personally, I'm not super fond of it just because we have such limited nice weather where you'd get use out of it. But, depending on the situation.
Absolutely. So outdoor kitchens are a possibility in our communities. What about outdoor seating? This is something that you've really seen too, and it's evident on, the shows on TV, also Pinterest and house.com, is patio furniture is not the patio furniture that our parents were purchasing. The folding aluminum chairs or even the plastic molded patio chairs. It has become an extension of indoor living space where it's sofa-like settings that are out there and chairs that are comparable and a table that rivals that of your kitchen dining set. Is that, again, something that you're seeing people make investments in, more permanent, interior stylized furniture on their patios?
Yeah, we see quite a bit of the stylish patio furniture on the decks we construct. So it is definitely gaining popularity. It's about comfort, I think, too. They look a lot more comfortable than those old fold-in chairs, so can't blame them. But they do take up a lot of space, so that's where we get in. It's important, like I said, to lay it out. So, measure out. You see a dining room table takes up most of a room that's, 10 by 12. So fairly commonly we get into sizes larger than that now to accommodate larger furniture sets, and multiple seats, too. A lot of these things come with like a couch, a love seat, a
side
table,
tables,
right?
Yes.
You got it. Lounge chairs.
So all of those things need to be kept in mind. Perhaps you're getting ready to build that patio or porch, and you have the patio set waiting for it in the garage. Make sure that patio set will fit on that patio or porch before you build it. So that's important. In addition to more stylized, finished furniture, what other furnishings are you seeing incorporated in patios? And you had mentioned the heaters, heat being something. I've also seen in some of the homes where they're putting ceiling fans in their patio areas or specialized lighting. What else are you seeing that will add to the comfort and usability of the space?
Well, lighting is a great one. It doesn't add a lot to the usability, but it adds a lot to the style. There's lighting accents that take it from awesome to just spectacular. You can do lighted post caps. We've done ones with in-rail lights where you have LEDs shining down on glass that you can change with the remote control. To 4 different colors, and it just really makes the deck go from awesome to just wow. People seem to appreciate that, and homes are important. People take a lot of pride in their homes, so to have something like that they can show off, I think people are willing to spend a little bit of extra cost to put some flair into it.
What about, we're seeing, some increasing use of technology in homes, and that's evident during the Parade of Homes, where you're seeing a lot of audio-video companies participate in the parades, and they're installing wireless systems, home theater systems, the thermostats that are all controlled with smartphones. Are you seeing more technology incorporated into outdoor spaces, use of music, maybe televisions?
Yep. We had the outdoor bar we're building. They had their electrician come in and wire it for a TV above a fireplace, and also have in-ceiling speakers and a fan to help circulate air movement. So
we'll also be sharing that address at the end of the show, because we're going to all storm on their house and take advantage of the patio.
But yeah, those indoor conveniences I think are becoming a lot more important to people, and get full enjoyment out of your outdoor space. So.
Excellent. Moving on, another suggestion for when you're considering and strategizing for a backyard space that will be the envy of your neighbors. They suggest considering landscaping. They talked about getting a weed-free, lush lawn by applying weed control and fertilizers at the suggested times throughout spring, summer, and fall, aerating your yard to get some thickness. You have a great space that's been constructed. What can we do to ensure that the landscaping is also an extension of the great space that we've just built?
I would call a professional landscaper.
Absolutely. And again, we're going to talk about later in today's program when you should do it yourself versus when you should hire a professional. And there are benefits to reaching out to companies like Regal Home Solutions to have the expertise and availability of them to tackle these tougher projects. But extending that out onto landscaping ideas, there's a reason that we have professional landscapers in this community, and it's because they're capable of doing things that we can't do as homeowners ourselves. So make sure you investigate those options. You could do so over the break. Check out bmhba.com and look at our directory of members. We'll be back after a quick break. You're listening to Super Talk 1270's Free for All Friday with the Bismarck Mandan Home Builders Association.
Right now, 63.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
This is Dot Frank with the Bismarck Mandan Home Builders Association on another Free for All Friday. Again, thanks for sticking with us. Hopefully during the break you went online and checked out some of the contractors we have available to help you tackle the projects we're talking about today with Nate Halverson of Regal Home Solutions. Nate is a remodeler here in town who's doing projects throughout the community. Make sure you take a peek at what they're completing when you see the signs out in the yard. I was excited to see the big sign in front of the house here in Mandan on 1st Street. It took a while to get it out there, but I think a lot of passersby were curious as to who is doing this work.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of admirers on that project. We got people stopping by, and if you're hanging out at the site, you can see people like visibly gawking from their car, slowing down.
Yes,
pretty neat.
Yes, excellent. Well, we're talking about a lot of things that revolve around remodeling. We finished up by talking about what you can do to make your backyard the envy of your neighborhood. And they do warn you in this article, Nate, that if you create an environment that we suggested, be prepared to have guests perpetually. They are not going to want to leave your place. But it's something exciting that you could take advantage of and really customize to your needs. We're going to talk now about trends not just on the exterior or taking advantage of outside space, but those throughout the whole home. This is actually coming from an article that we found on NAHB.com. It was a contributor who hosted a webinar called 60 Design Trends in 60 Minutes recently. And he's sharing this as an article as well. And we're going to focus in on the top 10 architecture and design trends out there right now in the home building industry. So similar to what we did during the last session, we're going to talk about these design trends and see if they're taking place in the Bismarck Mandan community and if they are available to implement in our communities. So the first thing that we're seeing out in the home building market is zero-step entries, an increase in the number of new homes that are constructed with a zero-step entry. First off, Nate, can you explain to the listeners what zero-step entry means?
No steps into the house.
Zero, as in none, zip, nada, steps going into the house. And why are we seeing an increased request for zero-step entry?
I think we're getting to the point where a bulk of the population is getting towards that retirement age, and they don't want to be walking up and down steps.
Absolutely. So is this something that, is easily achievable in the Bismarck-Mandan area?
I think so. There's a lot of lots where you could incorporate something like that. And also I think that this might be advantageous to some builders with the new basement codes with home construction implemented this year. Sheetrocking and insulating. So to not have a basement or to not have anything but a crawl space underneath might be appealing to help keep costs down.
Absolutely. One thing they talk about with the zero-step entry is it's not just limited to new construction. There's ways to make a zero-step entry possible for existing homes, and they talk about creating the zero-step off of a front patio or porch. So perhaps you have a ramp, but the zero-step begins at where the patio meets the home. So is that something that, if people are interested in aging in place, which is becoming very popular, they could reach out to a company like yours to find out about creating that type of environment, a zero-step entry?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So that is number one on our list as the top design trends. Next, we have front doors. They're moving past just the 6 panels, and people are making some investments into their front doors. What are you seeing when it comes to new construction or remodels and clients' interests in front doors?
Front doors actually, if you look at like National Association of Remodelers, it's one of the highest return on investments for remodel project, and coincidentally, it tends to be one of the lower costs too. So that's great for a homeowner, but it seems like people want to do more and more loud things with their front doors, whether it's fancy glass or whether it's getting it wood grain or stained or painting it like a bright yellow to accent. which isn't a bad idea because really a lot of houses, when you walk up to the front, I mean, that's kind of the focus of the face of the house. So, I mean, you want something that'll draw its attention and look sharp. And I mean, something as simple as, doing a red or a yellow entry door can really add a lot of character to the place. Absolutely.
So they talk about your front door, but then he also said, consider the doors throughout the interior of the home and what you can do to make those stand out. They talked a lot about how, unfortunately, just because of the prevalence of 6-panel doors, you see them in every style of construction. But you do have an opportunity to have the door mimic the style of home. So perhaps you have a colonial type home, or you've got another home that is more southwest in feel. Steer away from the 6-panel door, which is pretty traditional, and go with something that's a little bit more contemporary. So what are some of the options when it comes to interior doors that people can choose from?
Oh, what have we seen? The recessed panel, like the 2 panels, are fairly popular. They give it a modern look. I've even seen some with flush doors, or another hot trend seems to be the rolling barn doors.
Yeah, and that is on our list. And it's actually number 3, which is the rolling doors and barn doors. And one thing that they reference in this particular article is the fact that rolling doors have really picked up in interest for homeowners, particularly for those spaces where it's hard to get a swinging door. In fact, what they're saying is because of the style of a rolling door, it's really replacing the interest in pocket doors. Because pocket doors, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it falls off the track, you're taking the wall apart to get it back up?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know about that. It depends, but I mean, they can be tricky. So yeah, these are all outside the wall. You mount a track on above the door frame, and then they slide past the wall. So they are nice in confined spaces where it would be either impractical or really restricting to have a doorway you have to accommodate a swing in or swing out.
So beyond new construction, where we're seeing a lot of that, anybody who took a tour through our parade homes noticed that there's an increased usage of barn doors. This is something that people can incorporate into an existing house as well, and have someone come in like yourself and remodel to add this type of aesthetic.
Yeah, there's a little more that goes into it. So if you take one, you need the space for it to roll past depending on the size of the door. And then 2, you're going to need to finish off the opening where you take the old swing door or the old pocket door out of. So
it's not just hang it and it just works.
Not quite that
You need
simple.
to keep in mind where it's going to roll to.
Yeah, and what you're going to do with the old door opening. So
excellent. The next thing that we have on our list, item number 4, is larger sliding glass doors. So standard sliding glass door is how wide?
6 foot, 5 or 6 foot is pretty much standard for a sliding patio door. And we've seen actually quite a few. We did a remodel this winter where we put in an 8-foot door. And you see it a lot in new constructions where they'll have like a 3-light center slide. I mean, I believe they can make them as a single unit up to almost 12 feet wide now.
And so what impact can that have on a space?
Well, obviously lots of natural light, which is great, or a good view. The other thing is, through the walls, energy loss is always kind of a concern too. So depending on the way that it faces, it might not be advisable for comfort of the room.
Well, and that's where kind of a professional comes in. You might want to have a 12-foot sliding glass door on a north wall, but would you recommend a 12-foot sliding glass door on a north wall?
I mean, they have really excellent glass now that's super energy efficient. So I mean, there's always some trade-offs with something like that. But
again, something that is accessible in our communities and you can incorporate into new and existing construction.
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. Number 5, infinity outdoor rooms. So when it comes to infinity outdoor rooms, it says, take advantage of sunshine by expanding the living space outside. It's more than just a wider door and a covered porch. These spaces are getting totally tricked out. Interior finishes like tile flooring, ceiling treatments, and wall finishes are being stretched outside. We touched on this earlier.
Sure, like sunroom.
Yeah, the sunroom concept and bringing some of those interior furnishes and finishes to the outside of a home. Again, they talked about TVs are outside now. Fireplaces are very popular indoors and out. And there's some really cool things that you can do when you keep that in mind. This article also, like our previous conversation, references increased interest in outdoor kitchens, going beyond just the Weber grill into full-service kitchens on the exterior of your home. Also on the list, again, the types of finishes and features in homes. You notice this when you're driving around developments throughout the community. Not everybody has the same color of siding and or style of siding and or exterior finishes. Is that something that's kind of exciting for you to see, an increased, I guess, attention to aesthetics and an investment from builders and homeowners' perspective to do something a little unique?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. We love the opportunity to do something new and different. People I think are more, you see more and more, there's more and more information available. So, I mean, you can go on Houzz and you have 7 million pictures that you can look through to see what a particular style or what a particular design trend may look like actualized. And so I think people are willing to take a little bit more, not necessarily risk, but, to make their house different, a little more flair, curb appeal. Personally, I get tired of looking at the same beige houses left and right, So
let's talk for just a minute before our next break is coming up in a couple minutes about what most homeowners could do to change the aesthetics of their house without making a substantial investment. I mean, it would still be an investment. Everything costs money. But what could they do, today to really change the look of their house?
Well, like I said, low cost and large impact would be that front entry door. So if you replace the front entry door, I mean, typically that's going to be on the lower end of the cost spectrum for a remodel project. And I think you'll get a lot of that desired result of adding some wow to your outside of your house. From there, I mean, we've done things where we've cut siding back off the gables and added like a border batten or a shake. Brick or rock is really popular. We've been steering customers more towards specialty metal products, with specialty finishes.
So what does that look like, the specialty metal?
There's bonderized, Resbond, even some rustic. Just depends on the style that you go for. So like the galvanized finishes or the bonderized metal gives it kind of a more modern, kind of industrial look, whereas the rustic panels, you can make it a little more country or craftsman.
Excellent. You're listening to Super Talk 1270's Free for All Friday with the Bismarck Mandan Homebuilders Association. Gotta get that out, Jim. Stay tuned because when we come back, we've got just 15 minutes with Nate Halverson of Regal Home Solutions to wrap up this discussion.
Right now, 64.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back. This is Dot Frank with the Bismarck Mandan Home Builders Association, getting close to the top of the hour, which signals the end of our show today. Thanks for tuning in with us. If you're just joining, welcome. Today's guest is Nate Halverson with Regal Home Solutions. We've covered a lot today, Nate.
Sure have.
Lots of topics. Talking about some of the projects that he's working on throughout the communities. Make sure if you see the sign, can they stop and say hello?
Yeah, say hi to Jason or BJ or guys. Absolutely.
And if you're in the area and it's hot and humid, could they come by with maybe a cold Coke or a lemonade?
They love lemonade.
Excellent. Well, we've talked about a lot today. Started out learning about his company, a newer company here in the community that is gung-ho, doing lots of projects and finding some excellent success. Also shared some ideas and some of the projects he's completed. Neat concepts for any homeowner looking to do a remodel job, an addition, expand their space, or maybe modify their current setting by incorporating, and remind me again, the metal. You talked about adding some metal elements to the outside.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody loves steel. I mean, we love working with it. You can do some sharp stuff with it, and it's good for the environment, recyclable.
Excellent. So now, as we're getting to the top of the hour, we're going to talk about HBA and what is happening within our association. And before we begin by going down the list of events that we have coming up, which are many, how about you share your experiences as an HBA member with our listeners? I mean, why did you join? Why do you continue to submit your payments annually to the association and attend the events that we host?
Well, to be perfectly honest, we originally signed up just for the discount at the home show.
What? Although that's a legitimate reason. Members do save.
Yeah, 2 booth spaces effectively covered our annual membership cost. The home show for us as a remodeler is a great opportunity. We have the opportunity the last couple of years to get out in front of about, 14,000 people in the last 2 years. Talking with them, visiting with them, in a real informal setting. So, I mean, it's great to make those contacts and get people interested, and they can find out about your business and you can find out about their projects. So that was first and foremost. And then kind of got suckered into serving on the events committee, and it's been great, actually. I made a lot of good contacts, and it's really been a boon for our business. So, we appreciate the opportunity and something we're going to continue to be active in. I just find it to be very beneficial for us as a whole. Whether it's business or networking or just having resources available to you. We made a lot of great friends that we can call if we don't necessarily know exactly what to do. Whether it's in the permitting, the legal, or even just an area of construction that's not necessarily our expertise. So.
Excellent. And you talked about referrals. We mentioned during one of the previous sessions some of the projects that you can do to make your backyard the envy of neighbors. And one of the topics we got to was landscaping. Now, landscaping isn't something that Regal Home Solutions does per se, but because of the networking and relationships you've built with the support of the HBA, you've got the ability to make some referrals. Yes,
to people that we are totally confident in that could take care of you. So, that's another benefit of just, like I said, having those contacts and having those resources. So, homeowners appreciate it too. I think if you're upfront with them and tell them, hey, landscaping's not necessarily in our wheelhouse, but I can pass you on to somebody I know will take good care of you.
Absolutely. And I can personally attest to Nate's participation and I think support of the association when it comes to attending events, especially in the last, I'd say, half year, educational events. One thing that our association makes available to members is the opportunity to participate in what we call Webinar Wednesdays. And the topics vary, everything from social media to unique financing opportunities, how to deal with angry homeowners and the like. And Nate is at a lot of them. What's the advantage of... you've got a lot of people that are busy, particularly now, and I'm sure that you could be out on a job site or soliciting some new business instead of spending an hour with us at the association for these educational events. But why is it worth your while to attend?
My personal belief is that there's always room for improvement, and the second you think you've mastered everything or you're at the top of your game, I don't buy that. I think that there's always room to learn more, and you can do things better. Personally, I think if I wouldn't go to these things, I'd be doing our clients a disservice. You get a lot of takeaway from these. We did a appraisal roundtable, found out some issues, and then the one that stands out in my mind was the code class at the beginning of the year, getting us up to speed on new building code requirements with the city officials. That way when you run into them on projects, you're informed, you're in the loop, and there's no surprises. You could easily incur a ton of costs to get code compliant on any given project if you don't know what you're looking for or you don't know ahead of time.
Absolutely. So if you're not a member, make sure to check us out on bmhba.com. Membership applications are available there right online. You can always stop by our office and visit about the benefits of membership or give us a call at 222-2400. Now, the HBA hosts a lot of events. One ends and the next begins, and one that we were talking about during break that I think we're both excited about, in fact, we're planning our apparel for this event, is the Sporting Clay Shoot. Now, have you participated in the Sporting Clay Shoot in years past?
Our guys have. I have not personally.
Yes, but this year, are you motivated because of the topic?
Yes, redneck clay shoot.
Yes, so we've picked a theme, and it's going to be a redneck clay shoot. So how are you going to come?
I am coming with a mullet.
A mullet, absolutely. What else can we expect?
Probably some ripped off jean jacket, maybe a popped collar, and a can of Schlitz.
Sounds good. Now, the association has events not only to help educate the members and invite the consumers to come in and see the craftsmanship that home construction provides for the community, but we have a lot of fun along the way. In fact, this week we just wrapped up our annual PAC golf tournament, generating funds to help advocate for the home building industry in the community. That's 144 golfers on a very, very hot day out at Hawk Tree Golf Club. Had some fun there. People are able to let loose and enjoy some camaraderie among their peers. Same thing, just a different type of sport when we get to the clay shoot. We talked about perhaps some stations, and Nate had a suggestion. What is one of the things that you're hoping to see at the Sporting Clay Shoot?
I want to toss some beer cans and shoot them.
Fire away, fire away. So we're going to see if we can make that happen. Again, it's about having fun, communicating, reaching out to each other to build those relationships to grow the industry and their businesses. Also up on the roster of events for the HBA. And again, we encourage those members and non-members alike to see what we have in store for them by visiting bmhba.com/events. We have our fall parade of homes that's going to sneak up upon us.
Yeah, coming in quick, huh?
So September 24th through the 27th is when we'll have our Fall Parade of Homes. This is an opportunity for people throughout the community to tour new construction. So get out and about, see what styles are taking place in homes throughout the community, get into some of those hot developments you're seeing throughout the Bismarck, Mandan, Lincoln areas. It includes not only homes in Bismarck, Mandan, and Lincoln, but we've also seen quite a bit of growth in the county. So rural residential continues to be a really strong market in our communities. When it comes to the Fall Parade of Homes, it's an opportunity for people to see new construction, buy the homes that are on the parade route, but also get some inspiration for remodeling projects. So do you anticipate some calls after the Fall Parade of Homes, someone who wants to do something that's in one of the homes to their own?
Yep, you wouldn't believe how many times we get it. So we had one client that wanted a new stair railing based on something they saw at a house on the Parade of Homes. It was a couple of years ago. But yeah, all the builders, I think the builders here do a really great job of staying up on design trends and trying to push the envelope. There's a couple of them in particular that come to mind. But yeah, people always want to do new and exciting stuff, and if they, don't necessarily want to move or can't move, they want to incorporate it somehow into their house. So that's where we come in and help them figure out how to do it.
One thing our community hasn't, initiated yet, but HBAs across the country have. And that is not only having a Fall Parade of Homes, Spring Parade of Homes, or a Parade of Homes for new construction, but you're starting to see some interest in hosting remodeling tours. Is that something that you think the public would appreciate and you'd be interested in showcasing some of the homes where you've done some major design changes?
Yeah, I think a lot of homeowners, particularly on the remodel side too, you take an old house and you make it new and you make it fresh, and people really want to show that off. So, I suppose logistically the problem would be getting homeowners to let you come in inside the house, or having a parade of people driving
while they're
by.
occupied.
Right,
yes.
Exactly. But I think a lot of homeowners would be willing to at least entertain the idea.
Excellent.
To show off what they've done.
So in addition to the Fall Parade of Homes, we've got some national events taking place, the fall board meetings, as well as our state board meetings coming up this fall. Before we say goodbye, because we're getting close to the top of the hour, Nate, when should we hire a professional? So there's a lot of DIY out there. If you go on to YouTube, they show you how to do just about anything. And if you go to some of these other sites, HGTV has me tearing out my floor and laying new. What should or shouldn't I do? And when is the best time to call, or the time we should always call a professional remodeler?
I would always probably at least consult with a professional on a remodel project at a bare minimum. There's a lot of times where people think they're saving money themselves, and really they just create more trouble or headache and expense than they would have incurred if they had just hired it out in the first place. I would never endorse messing with electrical wiring, gas lines, or water lines in any circumstance if you're not a licensed electrician, plumber, or HVAC certified. Roofing's another one. People think it's really easy. There's a lot of small nuances that you need to know, though, in order to keep water out of the house. I would always at least recommend consulting with a professional. And, it's up to you really what you're comfortable with, but we see a lot of Johnny homeowners.
Yes. So if people want to get in touch with a professional remodeler, how can they get in touch with Regal Home Solutions? You can visit our website, regalhomesolutions.com. You could call us, email us, text us, whatever. Or Dot has a great resource too, a guidebook of association members that can be sorted by category. So I would start there as well. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me, Nate. You're welcome. Thank you. Until next time, you're listening to Super Talk 1270's Free for All Friday with the Bismarck Mandan Homebuilders Association. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us for Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270, keeping you involved and informed on issues that impact our area. To find more local talk at 11 o'clock, keep your radios right here on Super Talk 1270. ABC News, Super Talk 1270. Accurate news, stimulating talk. This is KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck.